Yeah, we have to put that in stuff for real.
So
Bubba
cute.
built it.
It's like a vortex of death.
Starting to smoke now. I think you want me. All right, what do you think? Yeah, that's good?
I love it. I want to keep doing it.
Okay, well, let's just see if that works.
I want to keep going.
Last week, as we were leaving off, you saw that we were getting the engine mounts ready for the Generalissimo, and we're ready. We just got to get the gaskets and the seals and all that good stuff for the motor. What else are we waiting for on that?
Well, 16 spark plugs.
Ah, spark plugs. 16
you know.
of them. That's impressive.
And what else did I buy? I bought some boots, some spark plug boots, because we tore a couple of those, taking everything apart.
Yeah.
Man, my brain is fried this morning. It's too early for this.
It is way too early.
I spent about 3 hours cleaning this sucker up. It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was, full of junk. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we could eat Sunday dinner off that now.
Yeah. I'll watch you do it.
I'll cook some rice in there and some roast beef. Let's put it over the fire.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
It's pretty clean.
Yeah, I'm sure it's clean, but whenever metal heats up, never mind. We're not going to go through all that. So,
look at this. You didn't know about this.
Oh man.
You see the new?
Oh yeah, I did notice that. That's one of the first things I noticed when I came in.
Hold on a second. Let me show you what I had to do here. Look at this thing right here.
Uh-oh.
This is the one that came out of it.
Yeah.
It didn't look like that before.
Oh, I see some tack welds there.
This is a big.
Yeah.
Somebody had rounded this sucker off. Like I say, this poor car was abused
terribly.
I don't know the last time the oil had ever been drained, because this sucker was rounded off. And if you know, well, if you look at that other one, you can see how small it's a 13 millimeter bolt.
Yeah.
And it was fused. It had become one with the aluminum. And I'm like, you know what can I do here? I thought, I'll just get a nut and I'll weld that sucker on there, and it came off like butter then.
Fantastic.
And I thought about just leaving it, because it's pretty.
It is kind of cool, man. I dig it.
But then we had a brand new one in that oil pan.
Might as well.
That's what, when you got tools, you got options. So I even added some extra tacks on the side just to make sure.
Yeah, right. Because you don't want to be doing that again.
No.
Well, we had finished out like 3 weeks ago, Translammed, or we thought we had finished it out. And then somebody made a comment saying, hey, I'd like to know more about the T-tops. And I thought, oh, we've already covered that in one of the previous videos. So I went back to look, and no.
We kind of covered it, but not really. It didn't really cover it.
It didn't really go into the details and didn't show all the footage that we have from it. So I thought, hey, since we're still waiting for Generalissimo parts to get here, we should go over what we did to make those T-tops. Now, just to refresh your memory, again, this is on a 2003 ZO6, and that ZO6 is about 4.5 inches narrower. And
shorter on the wheelbase.
Yeah, shorter on the thank you. Shorter on the wheelbase than the Z28. And that's great and everything. And we could have taken it out in several different places, but not really, actually. The more you looked at it, the more we thought about it, it really only made sense to do it right there. And so
so the second gen Z28 Trans Am, same thing, right? F-body cars. They had these big doors, and so look, if you remember, we had this Z06 chassis, and we had been enamored with the Vette carts because they're so cool, but they're ugly. I've not seen a pretty one yet, and so we thought, let's take this Vette cart idea and skin it with something cool. And our first idea was to take a 74 hatchback Nova. If you remember, the hatchback was a few years they did and just shorten it and make it like the GM version of an AMX. We're going to call it the GMX. And then when we thought about it, we're like, yeah, that would work, but you'd still just have a Nova when you're done. And then we thought, well, what if we could do a Trans Am? And we looked at it. Where do you take 4.5 inches out? Well, you can't do it here. That would look weird. and you can't do it, you know,
Do it
here.
up front.
Yeah, so we thought if we could fix the problem of the 5 foot long door,
Oh, they're so long on all of those
then
cars.
but see the problem with that, anytime you change one thing, you change everything down the line, right?
Yeah.
So as we talked about last time, you know, we had to make windows
Because you're not going to get a window for the door that's 4.5 inches shorter.
right. You can't shorten it or modify it, and but
And
then
the
but then
T-tops.
the big thing was the T-tops, right? And of course, you know what our thing is make it race car ready, right? So it doesn't have to be like if this had rolled off the assembly line and you're using these T-tops, you might not be so happy because they don't work quite as well as the original, but they almost do.
Yeah.
And we were really,
Yeah,
we were really pleased with that. So, but this whole T-top thing was a real problem. We even considered the idea of just remaking them in metal, and that wouldn't have been as cool. So we're like, you know, because the T-top thing is kind of one of the most iconic, cool things about the Trans Am. So we're like, how can we do this? And as we started looking, the construction, whereas it's somewhat complex, it's got some simplicity to it. So this is an extrusion here in aluminum, this piece right here, and it is rather complex. But whereas we took the distance out here on the T-top, I mean on the structure,
Yeah.
and we took it out in the middle of the door. Well, on here we had a straight section on the front of this extrusion that was about that long, right? And we thought, well, if we're looking at this transition here, if we just cut the front edge off this extrusion, then we could remake these T-tops. And of course, you know, you come up with this an ambitious idea such as this, and you just keep attacking the problems until you get to the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You start step one, deconstruction.
Right. So I mean, we've got video of us taking this apart, and that. The funny thing is that was almost the hardest part of this operation.
It was very difficult.
Yeah, so I spent a couple days, not all day, but an hour or so, a couple days, just trying to like get a scraper in here and separate this glass from this extrusion.
The tempered glass.
It was just not gonna. It was just not gonna come off.
No.
And so we've got video of what we ended up having to do. We got our torch, and we took it and put it on the end of the extrusion, and
yeah, let's take these over here and we'll show. Yeah, because you can say 4.5 inches all day long, but
yeah,
until you see what that actually looks like.
So this is how big the T-top used to be. This is the glass.
This is the glass right here.
So this tells the story right here of what we were dealing with. Look at how much bigger that glass is.
Comes almost up to the windshield.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impressive. That's how much we took out.
And you look at this glass and you think, well, that's pretty flat, right? But no, it's actually
it's
really
very complex.
So you've got this fairly flat plane here with just a little bit of bow to it, and then this drops off. But then here it compounds and
it's curved
it comes
this way.
down and back. And of course, as you can see right here, this is safety glass. So that means if any part of this is compromised, the whole thing becomes a billion little pieces of glass. The thing, so
it tries to get back to becoming sand.
Right, exactly. So the trick with this was to separate this glass from this extrusion and not blow it into a million pieces, because even if we didn't compromise this with some kind of a nick, the heat from one end to the other puts it under tremendous pressure at a molecular level, right?
Yeah.
And so we were trying to be as delicate as we could, and we
with
were
a blowtorch.
With a blowtorch, and we're heating up the inside of this. We had it sitting right over there, and we're until we got hot enough, and we got it, and we got video of that.
The adhesive finally softened up, and we were able to peel that extrusion off.
So the reason that we had to preserve this, though, is because we wanted to get this complex.
We needed the shape.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go. I guess that's the next thing, right? Let's talk about doing the shape, or do we want to talk about? No, we definitely did the shape next.
Yeah, the shape was the next part.
Yeah, so we went and purchased some smoked acrylic. Here, I'll get inside, and we can kind of see. So,
hello,
smoked acrylic, and we got a full sheet of that, and we took and cut out a rough shape. Cut it down to.
We cut a piece like this out.
A little bit larger. We went probably 2.5 inches, 3 inches
all the way
oversized
around.
all the way
Yeah.
around. And then,
We took our powder coat oven.
Yep.
And we took the glass and we set it in the powder coat oven, and then we took a piece of acrylic and put it on top of it.
Yeah.
And got it to about 400 degrees. And once again, we didn't want this glass to shatter, but we wanted to get it hot enough so that the acrylic would drape over it.
now we have no idea if this is going to work.
We've never tried it.
Never done it.
And look, the proper way really to do this would be to have some sort of a vacuum that once you get it to temperature, then you put a vacuum bag over it and suck out the air and let it really pull it down.
And instead of using glass, we'd use a puck, a wooden or a buck, whatever you call that instead. But I mean, this was
like the other, this is the other way to do it. But as you
Yes.
can see, it was successful. So we figured we got nothing to lose here. Let's see if we could get this shape. We put it in the oven. It draped over correctly. We got it out, and when it cooled, that's what we ended up with.
Yeah, we had to check it several times, checking its progress, making sure everything was doing what we thought it would do. And then after we got it out, we finished the trim on it. And where did we decide to take it off? The 4.5.
Well, so all this needed
remember
to be the same as the original glass.
Yes.
So all these dimensions had to be the same.
Right.
And all these dimensions had to be the same as the front edge. So we just took it out basically right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So where the end of that curve was, that's about where. So we took the glass and we used it again as a template for the shape.
Yeah.
And we used the back edge and we used the front edge.
That's right. Yeah.
And then we trimmed it out.
Pulled it back to that mark. Right. Okay.
So then we got everything, and you'll see we've got footage of us reworking this mechanism here. So let's go ahead and pull it.
Yeah, it was like 2020 when we did this.
I know.
Or was it 2019? No, it's 2020.
Okay, so the only thing that we had to do that was a departure from the factory.
Here, let's use Ruckus Truck.
Yeah.
Set it on there.
Okay.
Well,
we're already using Ruckus Truck.
Yeah, we are.
Watch the paint.
Watch the paint. Watch the paint.
I don't know. This is like I think we should have thought this through. Oh no, not really. You are.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, let's grab that vest that I had sitting there, because this is still acrylic. All right, now. So here is the mechanism, and we cut it right here where there's a molded piece and then a extruded piece. We cut it right here and glued it back together to get the right length again. But everything fit back the way it was supposed to in this mechanism. Look how it works, just like it did originally. Well, we had to with a bolt point on this did not change, so we had to shorten this rod. We had to sharpen that rod so that it goes into the. But there you go. So everything works the way it used to now. But you'll see there's a pop rivet here, and there's a pop rivet here, and then these 3 pop rivets holding this piece of aluminum on. We did not originally want to do it this way, but we could not get, no matter what kind of urethane or whatever we used, we could not get it to glue successfully because the acrylic was so slick.
Yes.
It did not want to glue to the aluminum, so we ended up having to use some urethane, but then we used the pop rivets on top of that.
It.
Then everything fit great, but when we put the seals in place, the acrylic did not have enough strength
or weight.
Yeah. Okay. So look, the original design has these notches in the stainless steel trim, and there were originally some little metal tabs that stuck out here on the original design. And so the way it worked from General Motors is the big piece of glass with the extrusion popped in place up high, and then you drop it down, and it would the glass and the tabs would lock in place and compress the seal down. Well, we found with the seal that the acrylic did not have enough body to compress down, and it was kind of sitting proud. So what we had to do was engineer these turnbuckles to hold it in place. And so that's what these are. And then to hold the turnbuckles, we took a piece of aluminum and broke it and pop riveted it in place. And that's how the whole system works.
So the turnbuckle grabs right there.
Mm-hmm.
and that's attached just very simply with some little nuts and bolts there, or screws and nuts.
Yeah. So the end result was a completely functional T-top with a little bit less convenience because you have to use the turnbuckles to pull it down tight. And I'll tell you, we've had this thing to, triple digits many times. And
On the track.
yeah, on the
Only.
track. and it works great.
Yeah.
And then, okay, but then the other thing was, so these things will bake you
Oh yeah, yeah.
T-tops. If you've
Yeah.
ever had a T-top car,
The
or
sun
one of
just
those,
comes right through there. It's like the super ray of death coming down on you. And so Michael was like, "Man, we got to do something about this." Oh, also, hey, we don't want these Recaros just getting blasted away
yeah, by sun.
by sun. So
So we made these inserts.
Michael's background is in the sign industry, and so he had access to these sheets of chloroplast.
Yeah, no, actually, these are polycarbonate.
Polycarbonate, sorry.
These are multi-wall polycarbonate.
Yeah. See, he knows all the terminology. I don't know. No.
So anyway, those pop in place
Once it's inside, it just snaps right in.
This is the wrong one.
And
these are side
reflects
specific. Yeah.
And you've got it upside down too, don't you?
Oh.
Yeah. That'll also.
The ugly side faces
the
us.
ugly side faces us. The cool side faces up, reflecting all the sun.
Yeah, there it is. It's just like that. And then it pops in place. And then from the back side here, there it is in all of its 70s glory.
Wow. It's very cool. Very cool.
So we were really proud of, this was a complex engineering project. And it's one of the main things that made this whole project come together.
Yeah, we just really weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it. And man, thankfully, it worked out.
Yeah,
and
so look,
we don't have, we've still got a couple of teething issues with it. Obviously, like we were saying, we didn't want to use those pop rivets to begin with.
Yeah, so we do have a little bit of wave where the pop rivets went in.
And then also just a slight drip on a couple of them, but that's going to be easily remedied with
a factory car had that. I mean,
right. So, and that's in a heavy deluge.
Yeah, this car, we've had it in very heavy rains.
Very, very heavy rain.
Maybe we get a drip. But.
Yeah, and all it'll take is a little bit of RTV or silicone and the hull itself. So.
Yeah. But anyway, so I guess the moral of the story is,
there's a moral.
Yeah, is don't get bogged down by a problem. Just start attacking it in a systematic way, and a solution will present itself. Yes, the factory, when they built these T-tops, they probably had millions of dollars in the development of them, but you can still use some of that and leverage it and work out a problem for yourself, and do something different, do something interesting.
Yeah. We love it. It's one of our favorite things to talk about.
Yeah, because again, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to pull it off.
We really didn't know. You had no idea.
But a couple of hayseeds from Alabama, we figured it out. You can do this kind of thing too.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, if you have any questions about what we did and how we did it, please ask us in the comments. And next week we should be back on Generalissimo. So, thanks so much.
Thanks.